Have you ever heard of Lucy Chen? Her transformation from a rookie to a buried-alive survivor, from an undercover maestro to a night shift sergeant, is no doubt one of the most remarkable transformations that the rookie has ever experienced. But the situation's rapid pace has omitted layers of depth, character relationships, and plot arcs. In this video, we will go into 20 intriguing facts, some of which are deep cuts and some of which are game changers for the 7th season, demonstrating how Lucy went from being a little girl driving a beat-up automobile to becoming a respected night shift worker. You will find more context waiting for you if you are a member of the Chenford team. We are going to delve deeply into Lucy's world. 1. The big career leap, passing the sergeant's exam. The significance of Lucy's involvement in the 17th episode of Season 7, Mutiny in the Bounty, cannot be overstated. Against all odds, Lucy was able to pass both the sergeant's exam and the field test despite the fact that she was simultaneously teaching rookies, dealing with pressure from above, and dealing with her personal fears. This has been lauded by several sources, including TV Insider and Screen Rant, as a natural and well-earned promotion, rather than just a narrative convenience. On that particular evening, Reddit threads were flooded with comments such as, "Finally, they acknowledged her growth. It was not only an improvement to the insignia, rather, it was a validation of the narrative saying that Lucy is leading, not following." 2. Immediately assigned to night shift, stepping into her own rhythm. After you have earned your stripes, what comes next? Lucy does not switch to working the day shift. However, she does instantly take up the duty of sergeant for the night shift. Colonel Gray does not allow her a grace period of many months. Rather, he immediately places her on the front lines of the conflict. Her tale is reframed as a result of this decision. She is not just climbing the pages of her scrapbook. Rather, she is being presented with genuine obstacles, genuine rhythms, and genuine possibilities for leadership. In addition, it means that the program will have new dynamics among the crew, new connections, and a change in the plot that will enable Lucy to take on sequences on her own. Those who follow the rookie on Reddit referred to the decision as smart storytelling. 3rd, resolving the rank problem in Chenford. There was a chain of command problem in Lucy and Tim's narrative, which caused some fans to have a headache. At first, he was her superior, but then he became equal in rank. And if she was promoted, he became her supervisor once again. By renaming her to the position of Night Shift Sergeant, the authors have successfully circumvented that obstacle. At this point, they are switching between various shifts and separate hierarchies, and there is no direct supervision in either direction. Finally, they can have an honest connection without job conflict was a recurrent update that was expressed by social media users who took notice of this development and expressed their relief. The Truth Serum episode, Emotional Reset Button, A Deadly Secret, the 15th episode of Season 7, makes us take a deep breath. Although it is presented in a documentary format, it becomes the emotional hinge. Both Tim and Lucy, who were given a dosage of truth serum by mistake, admit to having deep-seated fears. Tim acknowledges that he is guilty of avoiding talking about post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, while Lucy admits that she has already recovered. However, the showrunners have said that it was not merely drama, but rather a purposeful reset. The moment broke down the barriers that had been preventing them from communicating with one another and provided the authors with a blank slate on which to investigate the possibility of a more mature relationship in the future. The following day, there was a tidal wave of fan threads that included the phrase, "That's the emotional reset we needed." 5. Undercover Maestro. Lucy's shape-shifting aliases. Aliases are not something that Lucy does. In the process of becoming Nova Lynn, Saba Juicy Wu, Jamie Hall, and Lisa Thompson, she completely realizes each of these personas, including their accents, walks, and backstories. Each individual on the program was clothed, blocked, and directed in a unique manner. There are over 6 different identities listed on the Rookie Wiki, each of which has its own episode arc. This is one of the most extensive UC runs outside of Mission Impossible. When it comes to the Character Inception Challenge, fans really like it. Can you count all of them? 6. Going Under, Improvisation at the University of California. Due to the fact that a criminal knows another pseudonym, Lucy is required to simultaneously juggle two identities in the episode titled Going Under. The fact that she is able to think quickly on her feet, alter speed, divert suspicion, and hit the target successfully. Improvising at its best, this is UC improvisation. It is the discussion that raises the heart rate that is highlighted in the Rookie Wiki transcript. In this chat, she avoids evidence and hides her tracks. In high-pressure situations, UC training needs to be put to the test. This particular setting is a clinic. 7. Traumatic resilience. Buried alive arc. There aren't many storylines that leave a character more shaken than Day of Death from Season 2. Lucy is drugged and buried alive. She emerges from the situation more calm, strategic, and calculated than she was before she retreated. The use of subtle staging, such as close-ups that are tight and intensity that is quieter, demonstrates that she has been altered rather than broken. Lucy's medical follow-ups, responses to pressure, and how she evolved into a more cautious but still fearless officer are all documented in the postings sent by her fans. When it comes to post-traumatic strength, this is a classic case. 8. Mentorship. Before rank training officer work. Lucy had previously been the wearer of mentor shoes prior to the stripes. She took on the role of training officer for Seth Ridley, a very inexperienced player, and guided him in a fair manner while also pointing out his mistakes. She is resolute without being pliable and patient without being lenient, all at the same time. During that storyline, Lucy was not only becoming a police officer, but she was also becoming a figure whom other people trusted. Critics praised her moral fortitude and coaching abilities that went beyond her years of expertise. 9. Moments of empathy. Tamara Collins. Lucy did more than simply stick to the rules. She also created a family for herself, most notably with Tamara Collins, a young person who stole Lucy's automobile but ended up becoming her roommate and friend. It is one of the most emotionally compelling storylines in the program that Lucy makes the choice to provide Tamara a second opportunity to lead her through life and to be present. It's a subtle sub-theme. Lucy's power isn't simply in her actions, but also in the decisions she makes towards her family. 10. The Nova Lynn persona as a brand. For example, if you ask fans to choose Lucy's most powerful alter ego, 90% of them would reply Nova Lynn. It was response videos, memes, and costumes that spread the persona all over the internet. The influence of it may be seen in subsequent UC hints. When editors are showing Lucy's UC moments, they might draw inspiration from that tradition. The name Nova becomes a shorthand for deadly grace. 11th. Boundary builder, a precursor to isolation. Early relationships foreshadow isolation. Lucy's early romantic relationships, which range from Emmett Lang to Chris Sanford, underline the qualities that she required in a partner: honesty, clarity, and respect for her objectives. Not only were they not meaningless arcs, but they also indicated that she had expectations. The encounter with Bradford in Season 6 is less about assigning guilt and more about establishing boundaries, and it is informed by these connections. 12th. The Nolan dating moment and professionalism. Although it was just a short-lived relationship, Lucy Chen's romantic involvement with John Nolan in The Rookie exerted a tremendous amount of influence on the development of her character. Despite the fact that they were on equal footing in terms of status, she decided to stop the relationship early because she was aware of the possible issues and power dynamics that it may bring in the workplace. It was clear that she had a profound regard for professional limits, fairness, and team harmony, all of which were principles that she had retained even when she was just starting out. 13. Clarity on camera, documentary episodes. Lucy shines to the fullest extent whenever The Rookie airs an episode in the documentary format. The unreserved revelation that she makes in A Deadly Secret, which unfolds in front of the camera, is electrifying. In focus is her sheer emotional intelligence, as well as her ability to reframe control as the plot transforms into a meta-narrative. 14th. Season 6. Breakup. Ethically rooted, not for shocks. In Season 6, Lucy's decision to end her relationship with Tim is not a melodramatic one. Rather, it is in line with her core beliefs. Her desire for openness is not going to be met by him in a timely manner. The healing arc of Season 7 was enabled by such honesty. A consensus among the writers was reached that the storyline would focus on re-establishing them on an equal footing, both emotionally and morally. 15. The post-traumatic stress disorder subtext is consistent but not specific. Lucy's post-abduction behavior is not characterized by the trauma cop. She is quietly careful, she did not spontaneously kiss people, and she is not flamboyant. The pauses in the rhythm, the setups that she avoids, and the quick flinch are all indicators of this. With a tweak in calibration, the same actress. Fans took note. In her arc-by-arc dissection, blogger Maggie Mayday referred to it as compassion layered with PTSD authenticity. 16. The work done at UC is directly received by leadership. The psychology degree that Lucy Chen has is not only a feature on her resume, rather it is an essential component of the way that she functions as an officer and more recently as a sergeant. She has a remarkable capacity to read people intimately, almost as if she were leaving an imprint on their psyche. This enables her to predict responses and de-escalate situations without depending exclusively on force. Her leadership style is a seamless reflection of these talents, which she has honed over the course of years of engaging in covert operations. In her role as a supervisor, Lucy successfully manages her team, resolves issues, and builds trust in a short amount of time by using psychological insight. 17th, Chenford as professional iron sharpening iron. The working relationship between Lucy Chen and Tim Bradford is built on a foundation of mutual professional respect, which was developed over the course of many years of working side by side under intense strain. 18. Expect a deep user experience with supervisory power. The buzz at SDCC tells us Lucy's UC skill is carried over into Season 8, but this time she lends authority and squad command to the moment she appears in. Imagining a sergeant who is skilled in both deep cover and team coordination is an example of next-level storytelling in the field of enforcement. According to publications of the industry, producers consider this to be an enhancement to Lucy's hero moment approach. 19. A found family thread is at the heart of it. This is Lucy Cannon. Lucy Chen is the character in The Rookie that works the hardest to establish a feeling of family wherever she travels. She does this better than nearly any other character. Not only does she form relationships with other police, but she also does so with rookies, victims, and even citizens whom she encounters while on the job. Even in circumstances that often seem to be chaotic, she maintains a consistent presence, providing both stability and compassion. An excellent illustration of this is Lucy's connection with Tamara. Lucy is not only a guide or a guardian, rather she is a combination of parent, protector, and friend. She offers Tamara direction while yet honoring her autonomy. In a field that is often characterized by a sense of disconnection, the capacity to connect on such a personal level is a quietly revolutionary talent. The capacity for empathy that Lucy has is not a deficiency. Rather, it is a strength that enables her to transcend worlds, heal wounds, and establish trust that will endure wherever she serves. 20. Lucy, who is now entering the 8th season of the show. Lucy Chen takes on the position of Night Shift Sergeant O'Brien with self-assurance as the 8th season of the show starts. She is in charge of guiding her own squad through the unanticipated obstacles that come with late-night officers. She retains an unrivaled ability to blend into risky circumstances without losing her cool or credibility, which has earned her the title of the top undercover cop that works for the Los Angeles Police Department. The re-establishment of her emotional equilibrium with Bradford has provided her with steadiness, which has sharpened her judgment in situations when the stakes are high. Lucy is able to get respect from both newcomers and seasoned leaders due to her leadership style, which combines ethics and empathy. In conclusion, The Rookie, Lucy Chen and John Nolan had a brief romance that was brief in terms of screen time, but extensive in terms of significance. When she was just starting out in her profession, she took the conscious decision to stop things because she was aware of the possible dangers and conflicting boundaries that may arise from dating a fellow officer. This was not about a lack of connection. Rather, it was about her profound regard for structure, fairness, and the integrity of the work. Even when she was just starting out, Lucy showed signs of maturity and forethought by putting her professional responsibilities ahead of her sentiments. Through this event, she was gently but forcefully established as someone who places a high priority on ethical behavior and the cohesiveness of the team. It was also a portent of her future as a leader, demonstrating that she was capable of making difficult and disciplined decisions in order to safeguard not just her professional career, but also the environment in which she works. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. The video, which is a part of the True Facts series published by Frank, explores hummingbirds via the lens of comic narration, while also including fascinating biological and cultural information. These little birds are shown as fierce gladiators of nectar in the second half of the video, which is typically highlighted by viewers for its emotional and scientific effect. The video is around 12 minutes long and strikes a balance between fun and factual depth. 1. Extremely terrifying in every way. Hummingbirds, particularly mature males, are quite territorial when it comes to nectar-rich feeding locations, like flowers or backyard feeders located in the backyard. They have one of the fastest metabolic rates among vertebrates, which means that to live, they have to drink nearly their body weight in nectar on a daily basis, sometimes visiting hundreds or thousands of blooms. Rejecting invaders is not a question of competition. Rather, it is a matter of life, not to be confused with behavior that is aggressive and strategies for combat. Whenever a male bird approaches the territory that he has claimed as his feeding zone, he does not hold back. It is announced by vocal threats, which consist of quick buzzing chirps and piercing scolding shouts. Back off! Challengers are intimidated by the visual displays of the bird, which include puffed gorget feathers, fanned tails, flaring crowns, and bills pointed like sword points. In the event that the intruder continues to be present, the conflict develops to include aerial charges and dive bombing, which often culminate in mid-air collisions, locked bills, or even physical strikes with the beak and feet. These fights are rapid and violent, with the primary objective being to assert dominance rather than to kill, although they do occur on occasion. A collection of wild anecdotes and brute examples. The sheer intensity is shown by the experiences of first-hand observers. I saw one of them sitting in a tree, and the moment another hummingbird attempted to get to the feeder, he charged at it and chased it away. I've seen them stab the other one through the neck, the witness said. A member on the subreddit RAWW is reporting many violent incidents. They could be compared to miniature pit bulls. They will fight to the death to protect their feeder. He flew off and came back, drove his beak into the belly of the other hummingbird, pushed him approximately 10 feet in the air, and then drilled him down between two bricks in the patio. It was wild. I've seen a hummingbird murder, the witness said. A dramatic scenario reported by a member on the R-Bird feeding subreddit. It is possible for these battles to include aggressive hovering, headbutting, pulling the victim, and in very rare instances, fatal injuries. All of these actions are done out in a blur of motion that is symbolic of their frenzied resources of energy. What caused the ferocity? The relationship between energy restrictions and evolutionary strategy is tightly intertwined with territorial aggressiveness. Larger or more dominant males patrol aggressively in order to maintain exclusivity and establish hierarchy within mixed species environments. Feeders, which are similar to natural flower patches, offer concentrated and predictable nectar, which makes them high-value assets that are worth vigorously defending. The protection of nesting places and potential mates is another aspect of territorial defense that occurs during the breeding season. To summarize, as a result of their high energy requirements and their natural drive to protect their territory, male hummingbirds are quick to guard nectar sources. They progress from verbal warnings and posturing to mid-air confrontations, bill locking, and even sometimes fatal injuries as their methods get more sophisticated. True violence is described in first-hand accounts, including the stabbing of the bird's beak, the dragging of the injured bird, and fatal outcomes. The entirety of this is a reflection of a biological fact. These minuscule birds engage in fierce battles in order to acquire the energy they require in order to survive. The fact that hummingbirds are armed mini warriors despite their beauty and diminutive size is a striking demonstration of the fact that, in the natural world, survival frequently requires aggressive behavior. 2. It is the anatomy of a warrior, armed bills of lading. Some male hummingbirds, particularly the tooth-billed hummingbird, genus Phaeothornis, have unusual bill alterations. These males are distinguished by their unique appearance. Not only are the hooked, serrated bill tips of these birds used for feeding, but they are also intended to be used as intrasexual weapons. Males have been seen participating in mid-air fencing competitions in western Colombia and the neighboring areas. They are utilizing these serrated edges to stab their opponents and pull out their feathers. These combat habits have been confirmed by scientific video footage. Males locking bills, plucking feathers, and injuring intruders with sharp, dagger-like bill tips. These behaviors are not present in females, which suggests that sexual selection favors adaptations that include bill stabbing. Mechanics of the tongue and bill. In spite of the fact that bills were initially developed for the purpose of obtaining nectar from long tubular flowers, they are also useful as effective stabbing tools. The tongue of the hummingbird is an engineering marvel that allows it to feed. It is forked and extendable, and it can flick in and out of nectar up to 15 to 20 times per second. Instead of relying solely on capillary action, it uses fluid-trapping grooves and lamellae to accomplish this. When the tongue is retracted, the bill presses against it, which causes nectar to be squeezed into the mouth. The tongue unfurls when it is extended, which enables a flood of nectar to enter the mouth. Remarkably, at rest the tongue coils inside the skull, even wrapping around the back of the eye, an ingenious space-saving arrangement, extreme metabolic demand, and torpor. Hummingbirds operate on one of the highest metabolic rates of any vertebrate, fueled almost exclusively by nectar sugar and sometimes small insects. They burn up to their body weight in nectar per day, requiring extraordinary cardiovascular performance. The heart contributes approximately 2 to 2.5% of body weight, and during flight, heart rates can exceed 1,200 beats per minute, with top dive rates reaching 1,260 beats per minute or more. At rest, typical rates range from 500 to 600 beats per minute, and respiration can reach 250 breaths per minute. To survive cold nights or fasting periods, many species enter torpor, a reversible state akin to hibernation. During torpor, metabolism plunges to as low as 1 to 15% of normal rates. Heart rate slows to 30 to 50 beats per minute, breathing nearly stops, and body temperature drops by about 50 degrees Fahrenheit to conserve up to 95% of daytime energy, waking slowly in the morning as rising heart and breathing rates in flapping wings generate warmth. To summarize, certain male hummingbirds developed hooked and serrated beaks for the purpose of fighting, stabbing, and pulling feathers off their competitors while they were in the air. They are able to pump nectar at a rate of 15 to 20 licks per second using their unique tongues, which use groove-based trapping rather than basic capillary action. Every day, hummingbirds burn the equivalent of their body weight, with heart rates that may reach over 1,200 beats per minute when they are in flight. They get their fuel from nectar and microscopic insects. At night, they undergo torpor, slowing metabolic rate by up to 95%, severely lowering temperature, pulse, and breathing to survive starving spells. Together, these anatomical mechanisms convert the hummingbird into a small winged warrior, balanced between deadly battle gear and severe fuel needs. Third, aerobatic warriors, hovering mastery. Hummingbirds are unsurpassed in their hovering ability, more comparable to insects than other birds. Their wings flap in a perfect figure 8 rhythm, enabling them to create lift on both the downstroke and the upstroke. During hovering, around 75% of lift is created on the downstroke, and around 25% comes on the upstroke. This flying feat rests on their unusual shoulder structure, which permits almost 180-degree wing rotation, allowing aerodynamic inversion to create upward force on the backswing. Some species, such as the small amethyst woodstar, attain wing beat speeds of up to 80 to 99 beats per second, giving the fast humming sound distinctive of the group. This hum is more than just a coincidence. It also serves as a territorial signal, alerting competitors to a flower patch or feeder that is being guarded. Researchers were able to record the airflow patterns and lift production of hovering hummingbirds via controlled tests that used digital particle image velocimetry and aerodynamic modeling. According to these assessments, the active upstroke is responsible for the formation of a unique vortex, which contributes to lift and stability, particularly in the event of rapid environmental disturbances. These are characteristics that are uncommon among vertebrates. Dives at higher speeds. When they are courting, male Anna's hummingbirds may reach heights of up to 35 meters, about 115 feet, before descending directly at the female at speeds that are really spectacular. When they dive, they reach the speeds of approximately 60 miles per hour, which is equivalent to 385 body lengths per second. This is quicker than a peregrine falcon in comparison to its size, and even faster than many fighter planes in terms of length per second. At the conclusion of the dive, they quickly expand their wings and tail in order to pull out of the dive. This is done in order to reduce the amount of drag that they experience. While they do this move, they are subjected to a short burst of almost 9 to 10 g of centripetal acceleration, which is equivalent to the acceleration that skilled fighter pilots face while they are performing banking maneuvers. The hummingbird, on the other hand, is able to escape blackout because of the brief period of its exposure to G and the short blood columns that are present in its vascular system. Centripetal accelerations of roughly 10 g lasted for around 0.3 seconds, according to one research. This is sufficient to test the boundaries of the human body's physiological capabilities, but it is also brief enough to avoid the collapse of the circulation. Not only does the dive create speed, but it also makes sound. The tail feathers vibrate as air rushes over them, producing a loud chirp-like note. This is a vital acoustic signal for attracting mates. To summarize, the ability to hover is accomplished with a particular figure-8 wing action, with lift created during both strokes. This allows hummingbirds to maintain an airborne stability similar to that of insects at high beat frequencies, and it also gives them their distinctive hum. Males are capable of reaching speeds of up to 60 miles per hour, which is equivalent to around 385 body lengths per second, and have the ability to withstand accelerations of up to 10 GE when recovering from courtship dives. Their ability to avoid blackout under such stress stems from very short acceleration durations and vascular anatomy optimized for rapid, forceful maneuvers. These traits, hovering precision, rapid wing beats, aerodynamic control, and death-defying dives, solidify hummingbirds as true aerobatic warriors, blending biomechanical mastery with show-stopping courtship theatrics. 4. What does mythological and cultural significance mean? Both the hummingbird and the Aztec warrior god have symbolic meanings. The hummingbird, which was referred to as Huitzilin in Nahuatl, was intricately connected to Huitzilopochtli, the deity of battle and the sun, in the mythology of the Aztec people. This is reflected in his own name, which is sometimes translated as Hummingbird of the South or left-handed hummingbird. His name is a combination of the words Huitzilin, hummingbird, and Opochtli, left or south, which represents the origin of the holy warrior and his character as a fighter. In accordance with the legend, Huitzilopochtli's mother, Coatlicue, got pregnant as a result of a ball of hummingbird feathers falling into her lap. When he emerged from her womb, he was fully equipped to protect his mother and slay his sister, Coyolxauhqui, whose body transformed into the moon. As a result of this origin narrative, it was thought that fallen soldiers were reincarnated as hummingbirds, and that they returned to Earth as messengers from the deity and spiritual companions of the sun. Further expansion of indigenous symbolism. A great number of Native American and South American cultures, in addition to the Aztec world, honored the hummingbird as a messenger between worlds, a healer, and a spirit who brought rain. In Pueblo cultures such as the Hopi and Zuni, the Kachina, which is a hummingbird dancer, is dedicated to the act of praying for rain. She invokes the tenacity, agility, and holy character of the bird in order to provide nourishment to crops and communities. Since the beginning of time, hummingbirds have been used as a symbol of vivacious delight, vigor, and exquisite beauty in literary and lyrical traditions. The naturalist John James Audubon referred to them as glittering fragments of rainbows, while the poet Pablo Neruda compared their brilliant colors to flames of gold and flame. This is a suitable union of ferocious intensity and fleeting elegance. A brief summary: small but powerful bearers of cosmic significance and cultural identity, hummingbirds serve as bridges between human and heavenly worlds in Aztec mythology and in indigenous traditions more generally. They are also symbols of the warrior spirit and rebirth, as well as emblems of joy, rejuvenation, and life force. 5. Intelligence and one's personality. Individualism that is bold. Both inquisitive and fearless by nature, hummingbirds possess characteristics that are not commonly found in wild birds. It is not out of aggression that they frequently approach humans, particularly in areas close to flowering areas or feeders. Rather, it is out of simple curiosity that they are investigating new shapes or movements in their territory. This behavior is not random. Once a hummingbird discovers that a human is associated with a food source, for example, a feeder that is regularly refilled, it may return with confidence and hover near that person, sometimes coming within inches of them. This tranquil proximity is only produced when there is trust between the two parties. Sudden movements frighten them, but a consistent and gentle presence encourages boldness. Their extraordinary adaptability is demonstrated by the fact that they are willing to observe humans in great detail, not to be confused with both learning and memory. In comparison to other birds, such as food-caching songbirds, hummingbirds have an expanded hippocampus structure that is 2 to 5 times bigger. This allows them to have a more detailed recollection of the locations of flowers and feeders over time. Hummingbirds have an excellent mental capacity for both spatial and temporal memory. In studies conducted with male rufous hummingbirds, it was shown that they are able to remember specific positions across at least 8 flowers and recall when each flower was last refilled. They were able to differentiate between refill intervals of 10 minutes and 20 minutes and change their revisit schedule appropriately. Hummingbirds are also capable of displaying long-term memory, as seen by the fact that they remember the locations of feeders and even the humans who provide them with food, returning to familiar sources no matter the time of day or the season. Research demonstrated that they were able to traverse their home region after being relocated by using mental maps. Recent studies have shown that some species, such as the long-billed hermit, exhibit vocal learning. This vocal learning includes the modification of songs over time and even the change of song genres throughout maturity. This sort of learning is comparable to that of parrots and songbirds, open-ended learning. The fact that different leks have different dialects in both their vocal and visual displays suggests that social learning modifies these signals in a regional manner. A brief summary. Together, these characteristics highlight the cognitive sophistication of hummingbirds. Hummingbirds are characterized by their boldness toward humans and their keen curiosity, which are both indicators of remarkable adaptability. Additionally, their advanced memory and learning abilities, which include the ability to remember recharge schedules, as well as the ability to refine vocal and display behavior, affirm that hummingbirds are intelligent, dynamic avian personalities rather than instinct-driven automatons. 6th, video style and impact. Humor meets education. Zefrank's signature deadpan narration highlights the contrast between the bird's lovely size and violent conduct. Phrases like tiny gladiators and mock scientific asides interrupt genuine biology. Narrative arc. The video begins with charming biology, changes into harsh battle tales, then crescendos with emotional storytelling and cultural insights. Many spectators said the second half almost moved them to tears. Blends myth with reality. Interwoven are allusions to Aztec myth, current science, and human anecdotes, creating a tapestry that runs from ancient combat gods to a bird stabbed on a feeder conflict. 7th, wider science and contextualization. The greatest metabolism, quick wing beats, complex muscular structures, and N equals 375 species with highly specialized bills and tongues that serve biomechanically as micropumps are all characteristics of hummingbirds, which are examples of vertebrate imperatives that have been driven to extremes in the course of an evolutionary process. Environmental engineers. Hummingbirds are responsible for pollinating hundreds of plant species in ecosystems such as the cloud forests of Costa Rica. As a result, they have an impact on other animals such as quetzals, monkeys, and tapirs, which is why they are referred to as the hummingbird effect. 8. Why it is important. A lesson in proportion. The size of these birds serves as a reminder that intricacy and effect are not limited by size. The expression "small but mighty" perfectly describes them. Their fight between beauty and survival alludes to deeper themes, which include energy, endurance, and raw will compacted into a creature that is tinier than a penny. Nature's poetry in action. Memory of culture. Their relevance in myth and contemporary storytelling bridges the gap between ancient rites and viral media, therefore establishing natural science as a part of the narrative heritage. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe for more. In this video, we examine the 20 genuine youngsters whose astonishing skills will leave you enthralled. Superpowers are not simply part of the realm of fantasy. Every one of these tales seems like it was taken straight from a superhero comic book, from mind-bending memories to the manipulation of fire. Let us jump right in. 1.1 The Echolocator, a product of Lucas Murray. Lucas Murray made amazing progress in his ability to navigate the environment via the use of echolocation after he was born blind. He was able to recognize forms, distances, and even textures by generating clicking noises with his tongue and listening to how the echoes reflected off of adjacent objects. This was comparable to the way bats perceive their surroundings. With the use of this extraordinary ability, Lucas was able to see without using his eyes. He was able to go about without the assistance of a cane or guide dog by the time he was just 5 years old, which is an incredible accomplishment. 2. The Echo Teen, also known as Ben Underwood. By the time Ben Underwood was 3 years old, he had already lost his vision due to retinal cancer. Nevertheless, Ben did not allow his eyesight to restrict him. Rather, he acquired an astonishing capacity known as echolocation. Through the use of his tongue to produce acute clicking noises and the subsequent listening to of the echoes, he was able to see the world around him. His extraordinary skill astounded researchers and motivated millions of others, demonstrating the remarkable capability of the human mind to adapt and triumph over adversity. 3. Aurelian Heyman, the boy who can't forget. Aurelian Heyman, who was just 11 years old at the time, started exhibiting an exceptional capacity. This remarkable skill is a rare disorder known as hyperthymia, which is also known as extraordinarily superior autobiographical memory. Even though the majority of individuals can only recollect fragments of memories from the past, Aurelian is able to recall each and every day of his life with an extraordinary level of clarity. What we thought we understood about human memory and the strength of the brain is being called into question by Aurelian's remarkable recall, which has attracted professionals in the field of science. 4. Jesus' talented prodigies, Jacob Barnett and Ruth Lawrence. Both Ruth Lawrence and Jacob Barnett are remarkable individuals who have defied both their age and the expectations placed upon them. Jacob was just 2 years old when he was diagnosed with autism, and it was believed that he had difficulty with fundamental learning. Not only did he graduate from high school in a matter of months, but he also joined college at the age of 10 and produced groundbreaking research in the field of physics at the age of 13. 5. Anna Balish, incredible strength. The world was blown away by Anna Balish, a Russian girl who was only 10 years old when she performed a feat of power and endurance that very few adults could equal. She accomplished an incredible feat by doing 1,500 push-ups in less than an hour, which resulted in her being included in the Guinness Book of World Records record book. Her extraordinary physical endurance, self-control, and dogged persistence distinguish her as a phenomenal example of real-life wonder. 6. Deepak Jangra, the human conductor. When Deepak Jangra, a young boy from India, was only 11 years old, he stunned the whole world by exhibiting an incredible resistance to electricity. This occurred both physically and symbolically. According to reports, Deepak, who was given the nickname Electro, was able to tolerate up to 11,000 volts of electricity passing through his body without experiencing any adverse effects. This is the same voltage that is used to power high-tension wires and industrial equipment. It is deadly enough for a typical human to die from exposure to it. 7. Emma Tablate, the pyrokinetic child. Emma Tablate, a little girl from the Philippines, astonished her village with her purported supernatural skill, which consisted of lighting fires with her words. She was only 3 years old at the time. As a result of many accounts claiming that flames would spontaneously light around Emma anytime she spoke the word sunog, which means fire in Filipino, Emma developed a reputation for being a real-life fire starter. 8. Maya Gamata, blindfolded reader and scanner. People from all around the globe were astonished by Maya's exceptional capacity to detect her surroundings, despite the fact that she kept her eyes totally covered. Despite the fact that she had her eyes covered, she was able to read written language, identify colors, and even understand motions that were performed by other people. Her ability to scan bodies, which provided the impression of perceiving information that was beyond the capability of the average human being, was the thing that genuinely confused medical experts and researchers. Her extraordinary abilities defied scientific explanation and posed a challenge to our knowledge of human perception as well as the boundaries of the senses. The talents that Maya had produced a sense of curiosity and astonishment, which in turn inspired more research into previously undiscovered cognitive capabilities and the immense potential of the human mind. 9. Ivan Stoiljković, also known as the Magnet Boy. Ivan Stoiljković, who was just 6 years old at the time, astonished people all throughout Croatia and beyond with an astounding and apparently impossible ability. He was able to attract and transport dozens of pounds of metal items using only his body. He possessed a natural magnetic force that caused pieces of metal such as tools, culinary utensils, and even heavier things to adhere securely to his skin. This was the case even when the metal was heavier. It didn't take long for his peculiar skill to get significant media notice, and many people were interested about how a little youngster could have such a unique aptitude. Despite the fact that Ivan was investigated by both scientists and skeptics, his talent continued to be a modern-day wonder and a fascinating enigma. 10th, Elani dos Santos, also known as the Healer. A little girl in Brazil has garnered great praise for her exceptional capacity to deliver healing and comfort to individuals who are in her immediate vicinity. Because of what seems to be a healing skill that has astounded her society, she is already adored despite the fact that she is still very young. People who spend time with her often describe experiencing great relief from pain, mental comfort, and improvements in a variety of health concerns. The presence of her is believed by many to have a soothing and almost mystical impact that aids in the process of recuperation. While researchers continue to investigate events of this kind, her narrative instills a sense of optimism and trust in the efficacy of natural treatment, as well as in the extraordinary potential that certain children seem to possess. 11. Nandana Unikrishnan, the telepathic girl. Nandana, a child from India who was diagnosed with autism and had a high level of functioning, astonished her family and the people around her with an astounding skill that appeared to defy explanation. It is said that she was able to telepathically understand her mother's thoughts from a young age, exhibiting a profound and uncommon connection that went beyond the realm of conventional communication. When Nandana successfully repeated 9-digit numerals that her mother had just thought about quietly, without anybody uttering them loudly, it was one of the most remarkable incidents that took place. This amazing gift attracted significant attention and excitement, which in turn inspired conversations about the undiscovered possibilities of the human mind, particularly among those who fall on the autism spectrum. The narrative of Nandana presents a challenge to our prevailing understanding of communication and perception. 12th, Yang Jinlong, superhuman strength. At just 7 years old, Yang, a little kid from China, stunned everyone with his exceptional physical prowess thanks to his extraordinary physical strength. According to reports, Yang was able to move huge materials that would ordinarily be difficult for a youngster of his age, such as cement sacks that weighed dozens of pounds. He was able to pull vans and other cars, demonstrating a degree of strength that was much above what is usual for someone of his height and age, according to witnesses. This is even more astounding. Many people referred to him as a super kid because of the considerable attention that he received in his town and beyond. His accomplishments garnered international recognition, Both the scientific community and the media continue to be captivated by Yang's extraordinary powers, which question our preconceived notions about the physical boundaries that should be set for youngsters. 13. Liam Hoekstra, a person who is a genetic champion. Liam's remarkable athletic ability made him stand out from a very early age. From the very beginning of his life, Liam, who was diagnosed with an uncommon disease known as muscular hypertrophy, naturally acquired almost 40% more muscle mass than other youngsters his age. The fact that he was able to execute physical feats that surprised both his family and his physicians was made possible by the fact that he had amazing strength and agility even when he was a toddler. Although Liam was on the smaller side, he was able to climb, run, and play with a level of enthusiasm and strength that was much above that of average toddlers. The remarkable growth of his muscles captivated the attention of medical professionals, who recognized in Liam a live illustration of how genetics may significantly impact a person's physical ability at a young age. 14th, night vision eyes, also known as Nongyu Hui. People all around the world have taken notice of a little child from China because of his remarkable ability to see well, even when it is completely black outside. This is a characteristic that is incredibly uncommon in humans. Even more amazing is the fact that when a flashlight is shown on his eyes, it is said that they sparkle like a cat's eyes, reflecting light in a manner that has surprised all who have seen or observed them. The peculiar occurrence has piqued the interest of members of the scientific community as well as the general public, who are captivated by the question of whether or not this capability is innate or connected to a particular physical characteristic. This raises issues about the possibility of remarkable sensory talents in youngsters and challenges our knowledge of human eyesight. His night vision is a challenge to our understanding of human eyesight. 15. Natasha Demkina, also known as the girl with X-ray vision, an incredible and unexplained capacity to scan people's bodies and identify internal health concerns, has brought a little girl from Russia local and worldwide renown. She has achieved this reputation for her exceptional and strange skill. She is said to be able to diagnose disorders such as ulcers, cysts, and other inside issues just by laying her hands close to or on the body of another individual, and she has even been known to name conditions that even medical professionals have overlooked. Her astounding accuracy has astonished many who work in the medical field, and it has piqued the interest of scientists who are curious about whether or not she has some kind of enhanced intuition or an unidentified sensory capacity. The current medical system is being challenged by her talents, which also provide optimism that there may be new techniques to diagnose ailments at an earlier stage. 16. Ben Underwood revisit echolocation master. Ben Underwood is genuinely extraordinary, not only because he had a single exceptional talent, but also because he was able to adapt his blindness into an outstanding navigation skill that enabled him to lead an active and independent life. At the age of 3, Ben was diagnosed with retinal cancer, which caused him to lose his sight. He eventually became proficient at echolocation by clicking his tongue and analyzing the returning echoes in order to see his surroundings. Because of this superhuman ability, he was able to do activities that the majority of blind people find difficult, such as riding a bike, playing basketball, and moving about with confidence without the assistance of a cane or a guide dog. The tale of Ben is a compelling illustration of the human capacity for resilience and the way in which limitations may be transformed into amazing strengths. 17. Adam Kirby, Mensa toddler. Adam, who was only 2 years old at the time, stunned everyone by achieving an astounding score of 141 on the Stanford Binet IQ test. This result was far higher than the average score for a toddler. The fact that he was able to learn to recite Shakespeare, pick up numerous languages, and even toilet train himself with the assistance of books demonstrates his early independence and curiosity. However, his brilliance was not restricted to numbers. Even while he was only a child, he was already a member of Mensa, a group for people with high IQs, because of his amazing intelligence. The narrative of Adam challenges our preconceived notions about the growth of young children and demonstrates that age is not a factor that restricts the capacity for learning and accomplishment. 18. Daniel Rhodes, a young magician who is considered a prodigy. Daniel had already established himself as a professional illusionist in the United Kingdom by the extraordinary age of 9. At an even earlier age, he discovered that he had a love for magic, and with hard work and consistent practice, he rapidly became an expert in performing intricate feats and illusions that fascinated audiences. Daniel has garnered great appreciation for his expertise, charm, and stage presence, which he has shown via his performances on television programs and live events. He was one of the youngest magicians in the world, and he shattered age limits in a sector that is generally dominated by adults. As a result, he inspired other young performers all around the globe. The narrative of Daniel is a demonstration of how early potential, when matched with an enormous amount of effort, may lead to great achievement. 19th, Domenico Bacon survived crushing and recovered. This little child, who was only 3 years old at the time, was involved in a potentially fatal accident when a large tree that was 40 feet tall fell on him, leading him to suffer terrible injuries. He amazingly lived without suffering significant brain damage, which is an extremely unusual and extraordinary result. This was the case despite the severity of the injuries, particularly to his brain and body. What is even more remarkable is the fact that he exceeded all medical predictions by relearning how to walk, talk, and carry out everyday tasks that many people believed he would never be able to do. His recovery timetable astounded the medical professionals, and it served as a potent reminder of the human ability for resiliency, persistence, and healing, even in the most trying of situations. 20. Ramu, the wolf boy raised by wolves. Having been found living deep inside an Indian jungle when he was approximately 10 years old, Ramu's untamed demeanor stunned everyone who came across him. He seemed to have lived on his own amid wolves, since he went on all fours, consumed raw meat, and exhibited habits that are more typical of wild animals than of people. When Ramu was rescued and reintegrated into society, he never uttered a word and continued to demonstrate significant wolf-like characteristics, such as heightened senses, vigilance, and an aversion to human touch. Ramu was a wolf. His tale continues to be one of the most intriguing examples of a so-called feral child, as it raises concerns about human nature, socialization, and the influence of environment on development. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe for more. We are pleased to welcome you to our excursion into 10 of the most intriguing abandoned sites in the world, places that were once teeming with life, but are now frozen in time. From abandoned mining islands to settlements that have been destroyed by conflict, every location has its own unique history, replete with tales of ascent and fall, enigma, and metamorphosis. 10 long-lost locations, the remnants of which continue to intrigue explorers, historians, and photographers alike, will be the focus of our excursion. Amidst the eerie stillness, dust-filled corridors, nature reclaiming civilization, and architectural remnants haunted by the past, you may anticipate the following. Allow me to take you on a journey into the spectral, the beautiful, and the forgotten. 1. Pripyat, Ukraine, often known as the ghost city of Chernobyl. Due to the explosion that occurred at the Chernobyl nuclear facility in 1986, the town of Pripyat, which had been home to over 50,000 people who worked at the plant, was evacuated overnight. All of the buildings, including schools, residences, and an amusement park, were kept in their original state. Currently, extended stays are not possible due to radioactive pollution. Nonetheless, guided excursions demonstrate how nature is permeating buildings that date back to the Soviet period. At this location, a horrific remnant of a nuclear disaster and a sociological experiment has been preserved. There are postcards available in the school desks that are dated April 26, 1986, which is the final full day when occupants resided there. This is an interesting fact. Second battleship in ruin on Hashima Island, also known as Gunkanjima, also in Japan. These high-rise concrete flats, which were entirely constructed by Mitsubishi for the purpose of coal mining beneath the sea, formerly provided housing for more than 5,000 workers and their families on this tiny island. The island, which was abandoned in 1974 when petroleum replaced coal, has been referred to as a ghost ship that has been struck by the passage of time. A UNESCO historic designation was bestowed upon it, and it was featured in the James Bond film Skyfall. An interesting fact is that Hiroshima had one of the greatest population densities on the planet when it was at its height when it was just 16 acres in size. 3. Kolmanskop, Namibia, a diamond city that is completely deserted. Kolmanskop was established in the early 1900s by Germans in response to diamond finds. The town flourished with a variety of luxurious services, including a hospital, theater, casino, and bowling alley. When the 1950s rolled along, diamond supplies ran out, and inhabitants departed the area. Sand dunes are now present in living rooms, dance halls, and hallways of every building. Abandoned settlements like this one are among the strangest and most picturesque places on the whole earth. In the past, Kolmanskop was responsible for producing up to 11.7% of the world's diamonds. This is an interesting fact. 4th Wild West ghost town in Bodie, California, United States of America. In the early 20th century, Bodie, which had been a lawless gold rush boom town with about 10,000 inhabitants, was abandoned at the beginning of the century when gold ran out. Visitors are able to wander past dusty businesses, banks, and residences that have been kept in a state of arrested decay, identical to how they were in 1915. Entering this place is like entering a set from a Western movie. It is an interesting fact that the state maintains it in its current form, which means that personal objects such as clothes and newspapers are still there. 5. One of the Holocaust memorial villages is located in Oradour-sur-Glane, France. Each and every one of the inhabitants of this French town was slaughtered by Nazi soldiers on June 10, 1944. The wreckage, which included gunshot holes in the walls, burned automobiles, and residences that were destroyed, was maintained by the government as a haunting legacy rather than being rebuilt. Walking through its deserted streets elicits profound feelings. Fascinating fact. The rusty automobiles have remained in the same location where they were abandoned in 1944. 6. The medieval village of Krakow, located in Italy, time is still frozen. Krakow, which dates back to the 8th century, was progressively abandoned as it became hazardous due to environmental hazards such as earthquakes, floods, and landslides. Located on top of a hill, its stone structures give the impression of being suspended between the ground and the sky. There have been a number of movies that have used Krakow as a film set, including The Passion of the Christ. The village was continually inhabited for more than 1,200 years until it was abruptly evacuated. This is an interesting fact. 7. There is a resort called Lost Overnight in Varosha, Cyprus. When the Turkish invasion of Cyprus occurred in 1974, the village of Varosha, which had been a magnificent Mediterranean vacation town that was frequented by celebrities such as Elizabeth Taylor, was shut down forever. Since then, it has remained off-limits since it is surrounded by fencing and guarded. Currently, barbed wire is covering the vacant spaces of opulent hotels and cafes. A fascinating fact is that hotels and buildings have never been robbed. The windows are still in their original state, and the decor has been preserved even after decades of abandonment. 8. It is Belitz, located in Heilstatten, Germany, the sanatorium for service members. It was established in 1898 and extended to provide medical care to troops throughout both world wars. In fact, Adolf Hitler was treated here. However, it was closed down in the latter part of the 20th century. In this moment, deterioration, peeling paint, rusting hospital beds, and vines come together to form a disturbing map of the history of war and health. An interesting fact is that a treetop walkway that was only recently constructed offers breathtaking views of the red brick remains that have been covered by trees. 9. Still burning town in Centralia, Pennsylvania, United States of America. During the year 1962, a coal seam fire broke out under Centralia, and it is still continuously burning underground today. As a result of toxic odors and sinkholes, almost all of the population was forced to escape. Smoke is seen drifting across the charred roadways, and abandoned houses are crumbling all around a town that is almost completely vacant. Remarkable fact, it is anticipated that the fire will continue to burn for generations. Centralia may never be extinguished. 10. The Gothic Castle of Decay may be seen in Belgium at Chateau Miranda. Chateau Miranda was constructed in 1866 and subsequently served as a military hospital. However, owing to the high expenses of maintenance, it was abandoned in the 1990s. The decaying towers and hallways of the castle are encircled by vines, and the building now seems as if it was taken directly from a Gothic fairy tale gone awry. Strange sounds and the presence of ghosts have been reported by certain guests. It is an interesting fact that during its heyday, it served as a summer camp for children, but at the time it was abandoned. There were no finances available to either maintain it or destroy it. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe for more. We're going to explore the commonplace strangeness of a century ago today, beliefs and behaviors that, although seemingly normal at the time, now appear ridiculous to us. What if it were commonplace to use leeches as medicine, pose for pictures with polar bear costumes, or sip radioactive water to treat fatigue? Watch closely because this film will challenge your preconceived notions about normalcy as it examines the strange social mores, medical theories, and cultural trends of the 1920s. 1. Radium water and radioactive elixirs. Radium was heralded as a miraculous treatment in the early 1900s. It was introduced as a revitalizing tonic that was put into a wide variety of products, ranging from chocolate bars to health water, and it was advertised for its vigor and strength. One well-known instance is that of Eben Byers, a rich athlete who drank Radithor, a beverage that contained radium and claimed to alleviate weariness. At first, it was energizing. Nevertheless, in the end, it caused Byers' health to deteriorate in a horrible way, and he passed away. Radium was highly promoted since it was thought to be innocuous and even fashionable. Users had no idea that glowing radium would practically devour their bones. They were completely unaware of this fact. After the suffering of industrial workers and rads, also known as radium girls, aroused worries, it wasn't until much later that scientists and media brought to light the harmful effects on health. 2. Leech therapy and bloodletting. Leeches and bloodletting continued to be recognized as effective medical treatments for infections, fevers, and imbalance into the 1920s and even into the 1940s. In spite of the fact that penicillin was on the horizon, medical professionals felt that removing blood would restore health, even for the most severe conditions. In hospitals, it was not uncommon to see buckets full of leeches. During the sessions, some patients lost as much as 80% of their blood. Over-the-counter, deadly chemicals such as mercury, which was used to treat syphilis, as well as heroin, opium, and cocaine, which were used to treat colds, were readily available for purchase. The marketing of these addictive pharmaceuticals was done without any regard. They were a common item on prescription pads back then, but it is unfathomable today. 3. Children at work and no refrigerators. During the 1920s, child labor was very prevalent. Children as young as 5 years old were employed in factories, mines, or farms for little wages. This hazardous employment was often considered to be a normal part of life. Formal education that went beyond the fundamentals was uncommon, particularly in rural regions. And since there was no refrigeration in the home, one's everyday existence revolved around the dangers of rotten food. Salt, smoke, or even the most basic of ice boxes were often used by families to preserve perishable food. Due to the fact that food spoiling was an inevitable part of living, it was important to go grocery shopping every day. 4. Unpredictable beauty and gender norms. Beauty standards and gender norms that were prevalent in the early 20th century are foreign to us now. Up until at least the 1930s, it was deemed obscene for women to wear trousers, which was regarded as scandalous. Even while going out for leisure activities, it was anticipated that people would dress formally. Suits, gowns, gloves, and hats were commonplace, a combination of Reddit and. This was a challenge that was made by flappers during the Roaring '20s, but they were severely criticized. They flaunted their sexual independence by smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, bobbing their hair, and doing filthy jazz dances at speakeasies. In the past, traditionalists saw flappers as irresponsible and immoral. Nevertheless, in recent years, they have evolved into icons of liberation and modernism. This website is bbc.co, ukin.wikipedia.org.blogs.loc.gov. Tattoos, which were historically considered to be a taboo, were once solely linked with criminals or circus performers. The majority of women and men in the globe avoided getting tattoos altogether. 5. Visiting without invitation and casual dynamite. A polite society is characterized by limits in the present day, although it was completely acceptable to show up without prior notice around 100 years ago. It was rather less typical to say, "I hope I'm not disturbing," than it was to just come in unannounced for a cup of tea. Even more bizarre is the fact that dynamite was sold at hardware shops where hammers and nails were offered for sale. Even at urban hardware shops, farmers used it to remove tree stumps, and gardeners took use of it for landscaping. This was done without the need for licensure or control. To improve convenience, the risks were tolerated. 6. Science, missteps, and spiritualism. The pseudoscience of anthropometry and eugenics, which posited a correlation between the size of a person's head and their level of intellect, was widely accepted in academic circles. Physical measures were used by governments and institutions to demonstrate that there is a hierarchy of IQ among different races, which is now completely rejected. While this was going on, the concept that the dead could speak with mediums, known as spiritualism, was exploding. It was typical for those who were grieving the death of loved ones due to war or sickness to engage in activities such as seances, ghost rapping, levitating items, and even chalk writing as if instructed by spirits. Thousands of people thought it was common to communicate with loved ones who had passed away at weekly public events. 7. Strange fads and rites. In Germany, people posed for photographs with huge humans dressed as polar bears, a trend that lasted for decades. This is one example of a trend that occurred in the early 20th century that seems to be very odd now. What is the reason? Nobody is quite certain, but it was a well-liked trend in the area. There was a time when stadiums like Madison Square Garden were crowded with spectators for 6-day cycling races, in which cyclists competed virtually constantly, some of them really hallucinating from exhaustion. The extreme endurance sport hooked millions of people on raw spectacle. 8. Belief limits and everyday hazards. Before Edwin Hubble demonstrated that additional galaxies existed in 1924, many people in the field of astronomy thought that the Milky Way was the only galaxy in the universe. Prior to then, there was a prevalent belief that there were no stars or systems outside our own galaxy. Simple activities, like reading in bed by candlelight, were seen as potentially hazardous by religious authorities. They felt that doing so was tantamount to tempting destiny and may result in spiritual retribution or flames. People avoided these behaviors out of superstition and for their own protection. 9. Transition and reflection. Why, therefore, did these behaviors seem to be considered normal a century ago? They were the result of inadequate scientific explanations, cultural norms, and a lack of regulatory oversight. Certain styles, such as the flapper trend, were a precursor to advancement. There were others, such as the use of child labor or radium water, that were tolerated until evidence and change brought them to an end. The norms of sanitation, medical standards, labor rights, universal suffrage, and scientific literacy that we now live with are only some of the things that are taken for granted. These strange normals serve as a reminder of how far mankind has progressed, as well as the possibility that the accepted norms of today could one day seem to be just as weird. Like, share, and subscribe for more.